Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Doing a little swap here. We'll talk about what's coming up on Fact TV on tomorrow's show, but continuing on with safety factor and the polar vortex in those cold temperatures. Joe Pulvermacher stopping in. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know there's a lot going on as far as emergency management goes. For those who don't know, Joe Pulvermacher, our fire chief of Fitchburg Fire Rescue, but also emergency management. Do you say the manager?
Director.
Director. Oh, director.
Yes.
I'm sorry. My bad.
The ordinance says that I'm the director.
The ordinance. Sure. Joe, in all seriousness, we are dealing with historic cold temperatures. We had a chance earlier in the show to talk with police and police and EMS on their responses. But from a Fitchburg fire standpoint, what are you guys doing as far as gearing up for these cold temperatures?
There's a couple of things that we're trying to work out right now. Is first off, if we do have an emergency that requires our response, we have to be very conscientious of the fact that a good portion of what we do requires water and it can freeze. In addition to that, our personnel are suspect to greater potential of injuries. So we want to be very aware of the fact that body temperature is one thing, getting them out of the elements is another thing, making sure that we cycle people through more often. All of those things play into a more appropriate response. In addition to that, we do know that our citizens are going to be affected. So if somebody has a house fire, for example, we know that they're not going to be able to stay in their home. We got to get them out, but we got to get them out of the elements as well. So we do have some different contingencies in place for the Metro bus to show up and to provide us with a driver and a vehicle, or multiple drivers and vehicles, depending on exactly what we're up against.
Absolutely, and we're looking at temperatures here that are not going to get above freezing anytime soon, and throw in the wind chill as well. From an emergency management standpoint, what are some of the things that we're prepping for the just in case?
So a lot of it is getting the message out, making sure people are aware of the fact that this is probably one of those cases that we don't see very often. They're talking about this being the fifth or sixth worst temperature event, cold temperature event in the state's history, as far as when they started trending the temperatures. So we do know that we have to keep our options open as far as things that may happen as a result of the weather. Making sure that we know that if we have any power events that we're likely to have to establish shelters, and making sure that we know where our generator backups are available in the city. And then making sure that we are well aware of how we get people from one point to the next.
Absolutely, and the best thing that you can do in this, A, is don't panic. B, get yourself prepared. Even if you think you're not prepared now, you still got time to get prepared. What are some of those items that we want to have ready during these cold temperatures?
It really is not much different than what we would want to have available to us on a day-in, day-out basis. Our go bags really should be stocked with water, know where our medications are, change of clothing. But in addition to that, we just got done talking about this at the fire station, is the fact that when we dress, this is actually a good mnemonic for others to use as well, not just emergency services, is that you should dress to survive, not to arrive.
I like that saying.
You like that?
That works out really well.
So if and I have to constantly address this through my own children, is when we go someplace, is to wear a coat even when you're in the car. Not just going from the vehicle to the building. A lot of times we see that as just being our reduced exposure to the elements. So they'll go from the vehicle to the building and not necessarily concern themselves with the temperatures. But if you have a car accident, if your car breaks down, you really need to be able to survive those elements. So it's really just a matter of making sure that our readiness is there with the way that we prepare ourselves and how we dress.
The word survival, life-threatening, can't be said enough in this. And I think, again, because of the rareness of this type of situation, this is very serious. It's not a we're trying to scare people type of tactic. This is and could turn into something potential, and that's why we have these measures in place.
Absolutely. And I can't stress this enough. If you know of family members that are out there that are that maybe a little bit more vulnerable, are very young or very old, keep an eye on those people. Give them a call. Make sure they're all right.
Yeah, that's the best way, and certainly 911's available for you, but have the alternatives ready. You know, I'm seeing power outages here showing up throughout different areas here and whatnot. But Joe, thank you, and thanks to all public safety for being out there. I know it's it's going to be a tense next couple of days, but I think it's nice to know you guys are out there and ready to serve.
Yeah, I generally don't even put on these headphones, and today I did because it's so cold out.